How's it hanging, dudes? My name is Shawn, and welcome back to another Cyberpunk 2077 video. Man, haven't uploaded in, a few months, except for yesterday's video, and I'm back at it again, man. I mean, somebody better give me a Nobel Peace Prize, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, we have some huge news. I mean, this kind of stuff cannot be understated, you know what I'm saying? Like, pretty freaking big. To give you some context, there's been a lot of hubbub, some people not so happy, other people content, other people really excited about the size of the world. CDPR's made quite a few comments about that, simply just little stuff like, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to feature a very big map, but it's not clear how big it'll be, especially compared to CDPR's previous Witcher 3. The rep behind the official Cyberpunk 2077 official Facebook page recently answered a fan's question regarding the map. The exact number in square meters cannot be provided, but it's been explained that the game's map cannot be compared to The Witcher 3 due to the verticality of Night City, something that's been already talked about. What hasn't been talked about is the possibilities of some of these parts of the city being underground, which sounds quite interesting, you know what I'm saying? Yes, it does. So yes, underground, that's going to be a thing, and that was further elaborated on the Cyberpunk Community Podcast, which is hosted by some very good friends of mine, Neon Arcade, Mad Queen Show, Last Known Meal, and Triple S League, right? So if you haven't seen that yet, I don't know what you're doing if you're a Cyberpunk fan, but you should definitely go subscribe to all their channels and check all the community podcasts out, because they have some excellent guests on there, and they're really starting to gain a lot of traction, especially with the Cyberpunk community, which is really good stuff. But as far as the underground stuff goes, there's not much I can really say about it, without letting it come from the developer's mouth themselves. So let's go ahead and do that.
Are there going to be underground areas of the map? I know there's a lot of verticality, but does that extend to maybe underground subway systems and things like that?
Yes, the verticality means some kind of underground systems. Mm-hmm. It's not I can't say it's a very, very complex and dense system, but there is a fair deal of a map is actually underground when player goes there and visits, and there's actually various things depending of the mission. There are sometimes things for exploration, sometimes they're connected to, let's say, the subway system, sometimes they are connected to just purely exploration or a specific quest that players are doing. So this is it all depends, really. Like one thing that has been mentioned from our Gamescom demo, and that information has been public, that we have old maglev tunnels. So this is like a monorail train, sort of, that you're entering. It's a part where you meet the Voodoo Boys, and it's I would say their sort of area. Without spoiling more, but yeah, so there are like distinct, I would say, underground locations. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we can say that this is like a massive amount of places. I think it's significant and visible when you do that.
So there you have it. I mean, verticality of this world is going to be big. I mean, if it's not as big as, in just square meters, square kilometers as the Witcher 3 map, that really doesn't make much of a difference, because the Witcher 3 map was just full of rolling hills and nice little biomes and stuff like that to explore. Not a whole lot of intense urban sprawls of any kind, right? So the fact that you're going to have such a dense urban world that goes way up into the sky and way down, if you have, let's say 50% of the buildings are explorable in the map, let's just say. There's probably more, maybe a little bit less, who knows. If you have one floor of a building, it goes up 60 stories in one way and however many stories down into the basement the other way, right? So there's going to be plenty to explore here. And knowing that you find the Voodoo Boys underground, I mean, come on. That means there has to be a certain amount of gameplay and happenings that happen underground, right? So I'm excited for that. But really, underground areas are cool, but I want to know about the underground Night City. You know what I'm saying? Like them 18 plus areas. You know what I mean, man? Come on. I mean, we're talking about what, the Joy Boy, Joy Girl, Joy people, right? All that not safe for work kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I'm gonna really get to see what the limits of this game really is. But in all seriousness, like real underground areas that's gonna be pretty cool. Which means they've really thought out a lot of this stuff. It's gonna be an actual city, and it just puts to shame even more some of the dissenters. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they're worried about a couple of textures or stuff like that, decals not being where they should on the game in the pavement and stuff like that on some of these. You gotta think this city is so huge and we still got 8 months before the game is even out. So a lot of these little bitty fine tuning things will probably happen. You know what I mean? And even if they don't, if there's a couple spots that isn't as dense with just different items and just things lying around, that's really not that huge of a deal considering how much this city has to offer. And if there's one street that's not as detailed as another street, it's not that big of a deal, being as this is the very first game, the very first flagship game, and they're biting off a lot of stuff here. And they also might just be showing you some of the earlier game footage because it's all a work in progress. And there's really nothing to worry about. And the amount of content that we're getting is insane. I have another video about some free DLC coming up next day or so be looking out for that. But yeah, man, shout out to the community podcast and everybody doing this hard work, man. This game is going to be pretty good. And if you like to squeeze bubble wrap, make sure you like and subscribe. And until next time, piss off. Hello.